Please subscribe the channel for more videos. We promise to keep you entertained. The story begins as a man stays late at work and declines an invite for a drink since he isn't even close to being finished with his work. He doesn't mind staying late at work since no one waits for him at home and he would probably just game alone anyway. He is distracted by his thoughts as he crosses the street and gets hit by the truck. Elsewhere, a boy uses magic to capture some food and explains that his name is Shin. He has lived in the forest his entire life with his grandfather, but states that he is still able to remember a past life he lived. Shin then returns home to his grandfather named Merlin. Merlin was the one who took him in when he was found as a baby all alone after a demon attacked the carriage he was in. Shin explains that this new world has magic and doesn't require an incantation. He demonstrates to his grandfather that the progress he has made just as a woman named Melita approaches them. Merlin explains that he was able to teach Shin the basics of magic, but it's now time for him to learn swordsmanship and magical gear. Melita expresses concern for Shin having fought a wild boar all by himself, but Merlin explains that Shin is quite exceptional with magic. A couple of years pass as Shin turns 10 years old, when Merlin explains that he is hunting a demon and will finally allow Shin to come along. Merlin explains that magic permeates their entire world, but those that can't control their own magic become demons. Shin remembers the story of a human becoming a demon that destroyed an entire country and how Merlin had been the one to stop it. Merlin then explains how do you search magic by spreading his magic thing and feeling anything with magic around him. To Merlin's surprise, Shin is instantly able to do it on his first try, and Shin detects the sinister feeling of a demon. Shin wants to act immediately, but Merlin warns that it will be very dangerous. The two make their way to the demon, and Merlin must try to stop Shin as he eagerly attacks it. Shin is extremely capable though, and with minimal effort, he slays the beast. Merlin is stunned by his grandson once more and wonders what kind of enchantments did Shin put on his sword and boots. That night, the adults discussed how Shin is an absolute prodigy since he is already better with magic than most adults, and it is advancing rapidly with sword training. They wonder if it has to do with him being from another world, but Merlin doesn't care since he cherishes him as a grandson whether they are blood related or not. Melita can't believe she is hearing these words from the man once known as the Lord of Destruction, but he states that's all in the past. The next station, Shin trains with Mihail when his grandfather pulls him aside. Merlin reveals that he isn't really his grandfather, but Shin thinks to himself about how he already knew that. Merlin thinks about the day he found Shin, and Shin wonders if the red grizzly he just laid was the one that caused the accident when he was a baby. He hopes that it was, since it would mean he got his revenge, and as if Merlin knew his parents. Their bodies were ravaged beyond recognition though, and he doesn't know anything about them. Shin points out how he isn't too upset about it since he didn't know his parents and doesn't miss anything since he has a great grandfather now. Time jumps forward as we see that Shin has turned 15 and everyone wonders what he will do now. Shin explains that he has never left the forest and plans to go to a town for the first time. They want to know what he wants to become and explain that being trained by Merlin means he could do just about anything. Everyone is shocked when they hear that Shin has never gone shopping and Merlin is scolded for not teaching him such common practices. Shin doesn't know much other than how to fight and use magic, but Merlin states it will be fine. Afterwards, Shin amazes the group when he uses magic that he made himself, teleportation. They are astounded as Melita states how it was already impressive enough that Shin easily learned all the magic she and Merlin taught him. They all wonder why Merlin has brought them out to nowhere, as he reveals that it's for their own safety and that they should brace themselves. Merlin then asks Shin to show them an attack spell, and the spectators point out how they have never seen such an amazing flame like the one Shin has created. Shin thinks carefully about creating the spell and unleashes a devastating attack, but he states that it's all that he can do right now. Everyone is stunned as the massive damage, and Melita scolds Merlin for not teaching him how to be more cautious. That night, everyone discusses how dangerous it would be to send Shin out in the world. With his immense power, countries would fight to control him, and what's worse is that Shin is ignorant to how the world works. Merlin then comes up with the idea to enroll him into the Magic Academy so that he could learn about the world. Shin is told that attending the academy would allow him to see just how off the scale his powers are, and he is surprised since he didn't even realize it. Shin agrees to enroll into the academy as it sounds fun, and it is explained that he will have to take an entrance exam first to decide his classes. Shin is a bit confused as to why his uncle keeps referring to his own country, and he explains that it's because he is actually a king. The other people at the table that Shin thought were ordinary turned out to be high ranking members of the army. Shin wonders why such prestigious people are their dinner guests, and the king explains that it has to do with how Merlin defeated the human turned demon. If you are enjoying this video, hit the like button and show some love. The king had been assigned to a group meant to fight the demonoid, but ended up almost being killed by it and had to be saved by Merlin. The next day, they head to the capital where Shin, Merlin, and Melita planned to live. The reputation of the two others preceded them as several townspeople celebrate their arrival and they head to their new home. They arrive to find it's a mansion with several staff, and they assumed the king was the one who set everything up for them. Shin is instructed to go look around town, which he does, only to get lost. Soon after, he stumbles upon a group of men bothering a couple of women. So Shin steps in. The group mocks Shin's heroics as they state how they are demon hunters, but Shin thinks about how slow they are when they attack and easily defeats them. Shin is thanked by the two girls and instantly falls in love. Afterwards, Maria and Sicilian introduce themselves to Shin and explain that they will be taking the entrance exam in a month. They are shocked to hear that Shin will be doing so as well, since they assumed he was training to be a knight since he is already so strong. Maria explains how her idols Merlin and Melita are in town, but Shin pretends not to know much about it. She also wants to meet their prodigy, but Shin decides to leave and pays for their meal. Maria wonders what is wrong with Sicilian, and she explains that Shin just makes her a bit nervous. Some time passes, and we see that Shin is about to take the exam. Someone tries to bully him into moving out of their way, but must then beg to be released when Shin restrains him. The bully is a noble that refuses to be embarrassed, but their argument is interrupted by a boy named Og. He states that nobility means nothing at the school and that the bully should just prepare for the test. Og knows all about Shin and explains that he's the king's son. Shin doesn't really care about him being a prince and points out how the king is his uncle, so they must be cousins. The girls are surprised to see Shin and Og so casual with each other, but lament how the bully Kurt came to the same school as them. After a written exam, the students are instructed to demonstrate their best magic at full strength. Shin has never seen anyone his age use magic before and is embarrassed for everyone as they are impressed by such weak attacks. The magic only gets worse and worse just as Shin is called on next. The instructor was warned about Shin though, so she asked that he keeps his magic under control so that he doesn't destroy the training room. Shin tries to measure how much magic it would take to destroy the target, as everyone is surprised to see that he doesn't use an incantation. His attack infuriates the instructor, but he explains that he was actually holding back quite a bit. Shin gets the best score on the entrance exam and later goes to get his uniform and textbooks. He is glad to hear that he can enchant his uniform, but is startled when he is told that he will have to give a speech at the entrance ceremony after getting the top score. Shin says rather the prince give this speech, but Og states that he wants to honor the school's tradition. The girls watch nearby and are once again impressed by Shin's performance on the exams. Elsewhere, Kurt laments how he was put in the A class and he is even more upset to hear that Shin earned the top score. That night, Shin removes the high quality enchantments on his uniform and plans to make this the best gear he has made yet. The process requires great precision, so he celebrates when he does it successfully. Melita arrives to be shocked at how amazing it is. The next day, Shin is surprised to see that Maria and Sicilian are both nobles as he prepares for his big day. The two girls are then the ones to be surprised when Shin is called to give his speech, and his last name reveals that he is related to Merlin. He then begins his speech as we see that Kurt can't bear to listen. Later, Shin attends the class for S-class students and the instructor introduces himself as Marcus. Afterwards, Shin is told that Sicilian is being hounded by a guy and Kurt arrives upset to see that Sicilian is talking to another boy. Shin stops his advances and Sicilian finally sticks up for herself. However, Kurt then reminds her that his father is her father's boss, and the episode ends here. Please subscribe the channel for more such videos and let us know in the comments about your favorite part of the video. Thank you for watching.